everybody, welcome to another episode of Groupcast.
Hello.
Woo! Now with a live studio audience of 4 people, 2 of which who are participating.
Good old studio audience. We should totally get a studio. Well, you had a studio audience once,
Yeah,
I guess.
we did. They didn't behave.
Well, no,
They were talking.
Partially because I was part of that studio audience. It was my goal to fuck shit up.
Yeah, but
you
were not the only one.
That's true. That's because I had a salad at the time, so I was distracted.
What?
I don't know why I remember that. It was one of my first days after work, and I just remember for that day, there's like, why don't you take a salad back home with you? I'm like, I would love that. So I had a salad during the podcast.
Introduce me real quick so I can start talking.
This is Wes Williams.
Woo! What's up, everybody? Wes Williams here.
Wes Williams returns.
I recently did Andy Malafarina's fucking video show or whatever.
You know, I thought about... I started to watch one of those.
First of all, who is this?
He's a comedian.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just like a fellow comedian. He's like a redheaded dude. But we did it in Kutztown, and we had a studio audience, which was just like confused people from the university who showed up because like I don't even know why they were there. Like Lemaire was just like, maybe I've got a knife, and they walked in. And it was like these like young 18-year-old girls with like cut marks on their arms and tattoos. And I remember like during the show,
crowd.
Like I don't like you could like audibly hear them whispering like, "Is this comedy?" Like they had no idea what we were supposed to be doing. Like they were just like whispering loudly in this crowd of like 5 young girls, just being like, "They're trying to be funny now." Like it was so distracting. I was like, "You guys are the worst studio audience." Like they were so unprepped. They didn't know what they were doing. And we did like 3 shows, and it was just like these young, vibrant souls not ready for the crushing realities of like what comedy was behind the scenes. So like it was like, all right, time to be funny. We were like, jokes, and then it would stop rolling, and we'd get ready for the next episode, and everybody would just grab liquor and cigarettes and walk outside and be like, thought about killing myself again. And they were like, what's wrong with you people? And they'd be like, all right, roll. And we'd be like, oh, and welcome to Kutztown. And they were just like, who are you maniacs? It was amazing.
Oh, the transitions are incredible between those 2 elements of a comedian.
People don't realize like how much of comedy is just acting. Like you're just doing a character monologue.
Yep.
Like when you people come up to me after the show and they're like, "You are insanely boring." Like I'll go up on stage and be like, "Dildos and bonfires," and then I just walk off stage and I'm just like, "So I'd like some warm milk, please." And people just are so fucking disappointed in me as a person. They're like, "You're Wes Williams." I'm like, "I work for the state. I'm a government worker, and I fill out tax returns." And they just fucking hate me because they don't realize that you're just creating a character.
Their eyes just glaze over.
Yeah, like immediately. It's so fucking shitty because like I've had like beautiful women walk up to me afterwards and be like, "Oh, is this a wild man?" And I'm just like, "You've got a nice tuchus," and they just fucking hate me.
Are you talking to Phyllis Diller? Who the fuck is it?
I just become a weird white stereotype immediately. I'm just like, "Oh my goodness, ma'am, your breasts are out."
Degree. I currently have $37 in my wallet currently.
Do you want to talk about Descartes? I enjoy a good play. And they just hate me immediately because I'm not who I am on stage at all.
Oh, that's amazing. I always feel bad about doing like stoner jokes on stage because it's not my personality, and I need to stop doing
your
that.
Your personality is not your actual personality on stage.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. Is how insanely different it can be. Like I've got a new stoner joke that I want to maybe do. Like I'm gonna try it next time I have the chance to. But I don't know. It's a little. It's first of all, it's fucking dumb. So it fits right in with the rest of them. But I'm not sure about it. It's basically I'm such a stoner that I don't blaze it up for 420. I wait for 840 and then hit it twice. Yeah. See, that's why. Yeah.
That's going in bad jokes.
No, here's the thing. That will fucking kill some crowds.
Oh yeah.
Like that crowd. Like there's a crowd out there that's gonna love that. And it's probably going to be at, like, the fucking Cove. Like, you could do that on our show on May 30th, and they're going to be like, ooh, 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 ooh. Like, they're fucking dumb. Like, there's, like, talking about being in character, like, I'm still greener than goose shit with comedy, and so I'm figuring out what different audiences want and stuff, and, like, no one warns you about the cost on your soul of pandering. Like, I've been doing, like, a lot of, like, EDR shows. Just, like, I went, like, this... Like, I was joking about this earlier.
First of all.
In the past week, I've performed comedy in a closed Asian supermarket. I've performed comedy for just an audience of dogs. Just an audience of fucking dogs in a
sorry.
fire hall.
Could you elaborate a little bit for me?
On which one?
The dogs.
All right, so the dogs. It was a charity fundraiser for like a dog shelter, and everybody just brought their dogs, and then they hated the comics, so they left, and like there was just an audience of dogs, and I was like, well, y'all like biscuits? Like it was like I don't know, like I'm still learning how to deal with hecklers, but how do you handle a heckling dog? Like I was like,
see it right now, but Amber's face is absolutely lit up right now. You mentioned dogs, and suddenly,
you're her best friend now.
Yeah.
But the absolute topper of my past week is talking about EDR shows. God bless his soul.
Really?
He puts me on shows. I can't complain.
Yeah.
You don't put me on shows, Casey.
Actually, I did.
Put
I
you on
did
a
just
show
now.
right fucking now.
Oh, wow. He puts me on shows that people see and listen to.
Okay. We only have one of those things, and it's C.
I enjoy this so much. I went to Pottsville. Have you anybody here ever been to Pottsville?
I think
it's hell. It is hell on earth.
That sounds right.
It is like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. It's just like an abandoned town that smells like sulfur, and everybody just wants to die there. Like everybody, like the weight of existence is on their shoulders. And I'm like, all right, time to do some comedy. And like I do fire halls all the time and dumb little shows like that.
Yeah.
So like I'm prepped for like disaster situations.
Right.
This place that I went to was a retirement home / bar in the middle of a trailer court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like on stilts. Like this building isn't even on the ground. It's being held up like in case of floods or something. And like I walk in this place and I'm just like, oh no. And like the DJ's like, I'm just going to walk you through the whole scenario because like it changed my comedy life. The DJ's like, all right, so how do you want to be introduced? I was like, listen, just say like, hey, I'm a comedian from Harrisburg. I've been doing this for about a year. Give it up for Wes Williams. And he's like, oh, come on, man. I've been doing this a long time.
No.
Give me something fun. And I was like, all right, do you know the road dog Jesse James from wrestling? And he's like, I'm kind of familiar with that. And if you don't know what he does, like he used to have this intro where he'd say on the mic, oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. And I was like, that's what you do. Say, oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody straight from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's Wes Williams. And he's like, got it. And I'm like, rehearse it in front of me. And he does it and hits it perfectly. I'm like, great.
Oh, no.
He goes up on stage. And I'm the warm-up comic, so I'm first up.
Okay.
And he goes, like, he just goes, you didn't know? You better call somebody. Wes Wilson. Like, just delivers it straight, no inflection, and screws up my name. And I just walk up to, like, tepid, like, kind of clapped her, like, why should we call somebody? Like, no one understood what the fuck was going on at all. And then when I got up there, like, the way they, like, it was a room of, like, well over 100 people. Like, I'll say that about EDR shows. Like, he fucking packs places. And, like,
yes. It's a full crowd every single time I've heard.
There were two main problems. One is the way the mics were set up, only half the crowd could hear me.
Yeah.
And the other half of the crowd was convinced it was my fault. So, like, I immediately started, I'm like, hey, my name's actually Wes Williams. It's good to be here. And immediately rednecks on one half of the crowd just start going, can't hear you, bud. Can't hear you. And I'm like, I don't have extra mics in my car. I don't know how to help you. And they're like, boo. And I was like, boo me? Yeah. I was like, I don't. And I just like immediately like try to start walking towards the direction and shouting.
Yeah.
And another problem with this place is it was packed to the gills with like old rednecks and there was no AC. So people were literally like fanning themselves and sweating. Ooh. And it was just like so hot. And like I'm sweating through my shirt just being like, it's nice to be in this trailer park. Like, and I get up and I just eat shit for 15 minutes. Like, they just fucking hate me. And, like, they don't bite on any of my jokes at all. Like, and the problem was, like, at one point, like, I'm just literally turning on the crowd and I'm like, yeah, whatever, pray for me, Republicans. Just getting fucking mad with them. And, like, I eat my shit for 15 minutes and I walk off stage and I walk outside and I'm like, oh, I could have been a doctor. And I'm just, like, smoking a cigarette, just hating my life. And this is so real, not one part of what I'm about to say is fabricated. This old woman walks up to me, and she has, like, a crumpled beer can in my hand. And, like, I can tell she's kind of, like, pissy, and I figure it might be about me, because, like, I didn't exactly catch the world on fire that night. And she just goes, do you know where the garbage is? And I say, I'm sorry, I've never been here before, I don't know. And she puts the can in my hand, and she says, I do, and walks away.
Oh, my God!
Oh.
That was my real fucking life. Like, she was just like, you are a trash person. Put trash in my hands and walked away. And like the smashed beer can was full of cigarette butts, so I just had like a sad man's tambourine that I could play outside while regretting decisions I've made in my life.
Oh my god! I want to just run into traffic.
Like, it was devastating. I was just, like, and it was so mean, it took me like 5 minutes to figure out what happened. I was like, so where is the garbage? And then, like, it hit me, I was like, oh, I'm the garbage. And, like, it was just my soul went out through my ass. Like, it was so devastating. I've never had a
My soul
moment.
was crushed. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like, my little cousin, God bless his soul, he's like 18 years old, and he's like, Wes, it's so cool you do comedy. He's like, I want to do comedy. And he's like, what should I do? And I was like, don't.
Slap him across
Yeah, I was
the
like,
face.
don't. Comedy is the most abusive relationship I've ever been in. Like, and it's so true. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if a woman came up to me, like, if I was in a relationship with a woman, and she was like, ooh, you want to have sex, baby? Like, let's go to a burned-down Walmart. I'd be like, no. But if tomorrow night Brendan Quicker was like, hey, Wes, do you want to go to an open mic in a haunted swamp? I'd be like, sure. Fucking fine. Let's go to the haunted bog and just fucking... Is there a microphone? No, whatever. I'll just shout my jokes out into the fucking ethereal realm. And, like, I just do the worst things for the sake of comedy. Like, it is the most abusive relationship.
Oh.
So, Lennon, what's the worst thing that's happened to you then? Worst heckle or whatever?
I
I doubt it's comparable to that.
It is nowhere near that at all. Well, honestly, I have had very, very few instances with hecklers, and the guy said, this guy's a Mitch Hedberg ripoff, and just walked out.
Yeah, I
that
remember
was
that.
all I'd ever dealt with.
That guy was
to be
a
honest
dick.
with you. Yeah, well, he was a dick. Well, it was a shitty show.
Yeah.
Like, the whole night, everybody who was on that show fucking sucked. But then it was cool because it was a 2-night show, and the second night, everybody just tore the house down. And it was one of the best shows I've ever had, to be honest with you. So it made up for it. And I've been lucky that I haven't had to deal with a lot of these problems. I mean, I've definitely had my share of shows with, 5 people showing up for the crowd and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been better if they hadn't shown up in the first place. There's been a lot of those. Yeah, I've been lucky, honestly.
The thing about me is, like, even though I'll turn on an audience, like, I will cut myself to make people laugh. Like, I want so badly to make people laugh. I did a fucking show once where we were doing our comedy and they were showing the Wisconsin-Kentucky Final Four game. And people in the audience literally turned their chairs around away from us to watch the game.
Wow.
And I'm just up there like, please look at me! And at one point, this waiter brought out like a bottle of Fireball whiskey. And I was like, do you want to watch me die? And I just grabbed it and started chugging it. And, like, in between tearful pleas for people to look at my suicide. I was like, I'm gonna die tonight! Glug, glug, glug. Just chugging a whole bottle of whiskey. And people were like, shh! The game's on! And they had, like, the TV's volume on. So I'm shouting over the thing people really want to see.
Yeah.
Like, and I got paid, but, like, everybody was just like, did you do comedy tonight? I was like, yes! Behind you! Well, everybody shushed me! You fucking assholes!
You fools!
Like, I was literally, like, putting my head on people's shoulders, being like, what you doing, bud? Like, just walking through the audience, being like, do you know there's comedy tonight? No, I guess there's not, huh? It was brutal. And that's the thing is, like, I go so far out of my way to do any show, any gig, and it ends up, like, whenever you do that, you just end up doing so much shit in Central PA, like,
oh, yeah.
I went and did a show at an American Legion, and they turned on me for, like, don't get me wrong, like, the show went okay, and I loved those guys, and everybody bought me beers, and, like, everybody was super cool there, but, like, I'm still learning at this point in my career how to judge an audience, and, like, in my mind, I'm like, American Legion, these guys are fucking soldiers or ex-soldiers, like, I'm coming out dirty. I'm coming out swing. Right, because you think, like, ooh, gruff. Like, these people have been shot at. They can probably deal with some dirty jokes. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about, like, rowdy guys. I did a joke about underage drinking, and they were like, ooh. Like, you could hear the turn. I was like, what? What? Like, and I will be fair. There was 2 points where I just ended up having to apologize on stage, kind of. Because I don't even know what the context was. But, like, before I went up on stage, this dude like pulled me aside. He's like, "Yo, go make fun of my buddy," and I was like, "Okay." And
Here
so
we
like
go.
I picked this guy out and started making fun of him, but he was like really sensitive, and he was like, "Please stop!" Like he wasn't playing it at all. I was like, "Hey, look at this turd," and he's like, "Don't hurt my feelings." And I was like, "You're an ex-soldier." He's like, "I've been through tough times," and I was like, "Ugh." And at some point in the evening, like I was like the warm-up comic because I just got like a guest spot on the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm kind of going in dry, so this is me spitting on it. And, like, everybody in the audience was like, ugh. Like, they were all disgusted. I was like, you've murdered people. You are upset at the idea of me spitting on metaphorical pussy right now? Like, that's what upsets you? Like, men have not gone home to their families because of your actions. And you're upset with me right now. I didn't say that out loud, obviously. But, and don't get me wrong, like...
I don't know, I think you should have.
You should have, yeah. Really.
We wouldn't have gone that far. You should might as well go all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I pander. I have this new thing I do right now, and, like, it's so disgusting. Where, like, I'll hit on the bar staff, and, like, it always works, but it always kills me. That's what I originally wanted to talk about, was, like, the price you pay with your soul to pander.
Yeah.
Because certain audiences just don't want to hear my regular material, so I've started to develop, like, fucking fire hall material, I call it. You go to shady little bars, and they don't want to hear, like, you know, I cut my teeth with lizard lounge humor. And that's all about, like, just being like, ooh, what if you had a tampon fire? And everyone's like, ooh! And you say weird shit, and everybody's super happy. But, like, there's certain places where you just have... Like, my new go-to was like, so, what's the requirement to work at the bar staff here? Being out of my league? Buh! And they're like, oh, Stacy's hot! I do that no matter how gross the bar staff is. And it's just, like, little things like that where I hate doing it, but it works so frequently that I have to do that joke. Like, do you have anything like that in your repertoire where you're like, I fucking hate this joke, but it works for this kind of crowd that I don't necessarily usually get over with, so I know I have to use it in certain situations.
I'm sure there's something.
I will always love that Keith Paradise joke where he's at the laundromat and the old guy's like, "What are you chewing?"
No, the old guy's just chewing nothing.
Yeah.
And he'll never do that joke again.
He only did that joke once, and it was hilarious. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't like that joke. I'm not gonna do it anymore."
That's one thing I've realized over time is that even if you don't like a joke, but people like a joke, it sucks to be fucking you. You should probably do that joke.
It sucks to be fucking you to begin with. Just go for it.
Right. Well, that's why we're on stage.
Exactly.
But
it's a nightmare to me existentially because I got into comedy to be able to like have fun. Period. Yeah. Like I'm not obviously in this for fucking money. Like I do it because it's something I really enjoy, and I'm not very good at it yet. I have moments where I feel really good about it, and I can, you know. At the end of the day, it feels good to make people laugh and stuff. But, like, my comedy fear is, like, I've been doing some, like, every now and then I'll do, like, a Stitches, or, you know, back in the day you do, like, Second Street, and, you know, you do comedy with, like, these touring comics. And one time I did some comedy at Second Street, and I remember, like, it was these two guys, it was a headliner and a feature, and they were both from Wisconsin. And just... the perfect hack comics, you know what I mean? Like, the difference between men and women. Ooh, white guys do this, black guys do this.
Yeah.
Just the perfect hack thing. And, like, the crowd was, like, eating it up. And I just remember being like, oh, you soulless corporate bureaucratic fucks. Like, you awful sticky cogs. Like, you uncreative shills. And then, like, this guy who was the feature, I saw him do 2 nights. And the first night, all hack, hack, hack. Second night, hack, hack, hack. And he's doing, like, 40 minutes, I think it was. And I remember in the middle of his set, all of a sudden he's like, "You guys mind if I try something here? I just want to do a couple jokes I've been just kind of like, I wanted to do them." And they're like, "Okay." And he's like, so werewolves might as well exist. And he goes into this amazing bit about how if a blind guy gets attacked by a bear, he doesn't care it's not a werewolf. You could be like, "Werewolf!" And he'd be like, "Ah!" And like, for all intents and purposes, he's getting attacked by a werewolf, and werewolves might as well exist. And then he goes into this bit about how complicated it is for a stegosaurus to fuck. And it's like these back-to-back perfectly weird, amazing jokes. And it's like he goes from having the crowd on fire to absolute silence save for 2 other comics just howling. It's like me in the feature just crying tears. And he's like, So anyway, my girlfriend wants me to clean more. And he goes back into his shitty... But it was like this little crack into the soul of a comic that once was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
like
depressing.
That real comic still exists somewhere, but in order to make money, he's had to layer it and layer it and layer it with the pandering and the stuff that works and the stuff that works.
That crowds love.
Right. The middle America bullshit has become his personality, and every now and then when he wants to let something that actually makes him laugh and feels right come out, he gets silence with 3 comics laughing at him. He sighs, drinks his beer, and goes back to telling about how women are different from men.
Yeah.
And it was just like the saddest moment for me, because I was like, that could be me someday. just swallowing my shit and going through sets that I don't even like that much. Just like... Somewhere out there, the band Fastball is still playing the way at some wing off, and they're just hating themselves.
Somebody from Fastball is going to die soon.
What?
I don't know, the last time that you talked about a band playing at a wing off, somebody from that band died.
I don't remember that. Who died?
Was it Leonard Skinner? Somebody? I think it was like the drummer from Leonard Skinner or something like that.
Wing offs in my mind are like the purgatory bands go to before the members die.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every time I've been to a wing off, it's always just like, remember Blues Traveler? Their drummer sings now. And it's just some sad guy like, I did too much heroin to keep being a Blues Traveler, but they can't stop me from singing these songs. And then he just crappily plays a harmonica and everybody's just sad, eating wet, like soggy wings, like God, like wing offs are the worst.
You know, interesting. Speaking about comedians that you've encountered who travel around with, whatever. Let me start over.
Try again.
The comedians that travel around that you run into, like as an opener or something like that, and they're the feature headliner or whatever. Somebody that I opened for, who was a feature at the Comedy Zone once, was just on Conan O'Brien last night.
Oh, yeah, I saw Keith posting about that.
Yeah, I think that is fucking sweet.
Yeah.
It means it doesn't do anything for me, except somebody I worked with was on Conan O'Brien. That doesn't mean fucking shit, but it's nice to say.
The harsh reality of comedy is 10% of it is how funny you are.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, a combination of great self-marketing, politics, and good luck and who you know is what makes so many people. I've seen hilarious people who lived on food stamps, and I've seen some of the most boring, sludgy, shitty comics in the world just make millions. It really is just such a fucking crapshoot. Yeah. Oh, I found my new favorite thing, you guys.
Here we go.
My new favorite thing.
I am so buckled up.
I'm ready to animate already.
1980s Christian comics who are scared of Satanists.
Oh my God! What?
It was a whole genre, of these guys, and you have to find them. Like they were.
First off, Christian comics.
First off,
there's too many of those. There's too many of those.
But every set of it was like there was like 5 of them. It was like the blue collar comedy tour of Christian comics who were afraid of Satanists, and like half of them were ex-Satanists. And what they would do. And, like, there's these clips online of these guys, and, like, when we talk about hacky comics, we're talking about people who kind of, like, rely on relatively tired stereotypes or something like that. But in honest-to-God truth, it's hard work being a good hack. Like, it's hard work being a good hack.
Yeah.
These guys are, like, literally using popsicle stick jokes, where they're like, why do you, like, what's that dumb one about, like, driving on a parkway and parking on a something like that?
Driveway.
On a driveway.
Yeah.
And, like, all they do is they tell popsicle jokes and then make a funny face, like, bleh! And, like, these crowds are like, woo! It's like, why would you get in a plane? Oh, no, I'm in a metal bird. Bleh! And then they just make a face at the audience. And they'll do, like, 20 minutes of the worst, clean Christian comedy you've ever heard, and then there's always this turning point, and the turning point is like you ever listen to like a dub beat song where it's like and you're just waiting for that moment where it's like blah, and you're like, yeah, this is what I've been waiting for, and you get real pumped up. My moment for that with Christian comics is the turn where they go from their shitty pandering hack comedy so they're just like, so my wife likes to clean. One time I saw a girl killed by a Satanist. And they had this harsh turn. This harsh turn, like this one guy I was watching goes from literally being like, my wife's bad at cooking, to being like, I saw a Satanist pull out a girl's ovaries. And it's the harshest, blackest, like, real turn you've ever seen. And he's going on about being like, a Satanist believes that power comes from suffering before death. And they go into these weird 10-minute long monologues about imaginary satanic rituals that they obviously just made up.
Yeah.
Just completely made up. And he's like, they make people go through sex changes and they cut out your tongue. And they just do this in the middle of their set for a solid 10 minutes. And he's like, I used to be a Satanist before Jesus himself came down on clouds of fire. And like the audience
How does
is
that work?
spellbound. This spellbound audience. And they used to do these huge tours and they made millions of dollars. And eventually, obviously, in the like early 90s, like everybody was like, you made all this up, right? And they're like, yep. And they just disappeared. But these guys just came out of nowhere. And like, how did, like, when you talk about like, there's these weird moments in time where, like, you know, as comics, we're very protective of our jokes, and if someone has a joke similar to ours, a lot of times, like, hey, man, but a lot of times it's just, like, this weird common human existence of, like, a very particular weird idea being shared among people.
Yeah.
But, like, how insane, just as a sociologist, I want to study how at one point in the 80s, like, 5 dudes were like, anti-satanic Christian comedy. That's what I'm going to do at the same time. And they all killed it. They like gangbusters. Like, oh my God, like what's the next big phase of that? Like, what are we afraid of now?
Wes, I say we revive the genre. I think it's you and me, and maybe, I don't know, Lemaire.
Oh man, Lemaire doing satanic humor?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like they're not even being funny. They just go from like telling popsicle jokes to the most horrific things you've ever heard of, where they're just in the crowd's like, this is good. This is good. Speaking of like awful people, I went home over the weekend. I went home yesterday and I forgot how awful Martinsburg is. Like, just to give you...
Is that
like,
where they make the potato chips?
It's where they make, like, racists.
Oh, okay.
Like...
Pennsylvania, basically.
No. It is a special kind. First off, I think I've talked about this on the show before, but I was raised Mennonite.
Yeah.
And, like, it's a special type of backwoods where, like, they haven't seen the light of day. Like, if you raised a child in a cave for 15 years and then just threw him out in the world, that's what Martinsburg's like.
Remember that shitty M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village? It's The Village. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the village that hates blacks. Like, literally... When I walked into one of my friend's house, a guy called me gay because I was wearing shoes. Like, really think about how backward that is. Like, I walked in, he's like, look at Pixar Man with his shoes. And I was like, are they gay shoes? And he's like, what? You're gonna hurt your pedicure walking on the ground? Like, their stereotypes for gay are from, like, the 1800s.
I want to meet this man.
Like, my magical gay shoes were just gonna force me to walk into a man's asshole at some point. Be like, oh no, I don't want this. I tied my laces too tight, and all of a sudden I'm just fucking a dude. Like, it is insane. Like, the whole place, and like, there's so many things that like I forget how backward it is. Like, in modern society, when you look at speed limits, they're created to give people tickets, right? Like, when you're seeing 55 miles an hour, you could probably comfortably go 75 miles an hour, but it's kind of there as a buffer so you can raise money for the state. But all the speed limits, I'm going to refer to it as the Cove. It's going to be confusing if you think the Cove's out in New York, but we call Martinsburg the Cove. It's like, it's down in a valley that time forgot. All the speed limits there were created during a time when the speed limit meant if you go faster than this, you will die. Like, every road there is just up a mountain with no guardrails, and the speed limit is ubiquitously 65. Like, each speed limit is just like, what are you, fucking scared? Like, if you go the speed limit in Martinsburg, you're going to die. And you can just look over at a rocky cliff and just see people who tried to go the speed limit. It is insane. I'm so scared to go the speed limit there. And I like my dad.
Haven't you talked about this cliff before? Like, it's like there's like a weird like kind of blind turn where if you don't take a turn, you're done.
Yes, it's just good luck. Like, it's population control. Like, there's a couple weird things, and like there's not necessarily jokes here, but I just want to give you a slice into something. Like these people vote, and I just saw a bathtub full of kerosene just in someone's lawn. Just a bathtub full of
bathtub full of carrots.
No.
I think that would be just
That's probably just somewhere too.
Is it?
He just didn't see that.
I don't know anything about kerosene, but everything in my body tells me it shouldn't be in a bathtub and full of leaves. Like it shouldn't. Something about that feels wrong.
That's the swimming hole, Wes.
Yeah, they're like, well, that's for the lawnmower. Like something. It's like you fucking. I saw.
Gives it flavor.
And this is 100% true. Like Brendan Crook's always like, Wes, you're a fucking liar. I saw two unrelated people brushing their teeth in a car. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
That's super weird. Just one was an old man, and I was like, oh, he has dementia. But then I saw like a 16-year-old girl just complaining to her friend who had her feet out the window while brushing her teeth and spitting out the window.
That car hasn't run since 1975. They're just hanging out in a car.
Yeah, not using water, just using like Diet Coke to spit.
They don't
just brushing their fucking teeth.
They don't go on road trips because there are no roads. They don't go on car trips because the car doesn't move. They go on car.
They don't go on anything. They don't leave that area. It sounds like.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's like an episode of The Twilight Zone where you cross a line somewhere and you're just there forever.
Yeah.
And time never moves and
Yeah, it's like, what if we never learned how to like purify water? Like, you can ask some essential question about modern life and be like, what if there wasn't fluoride in the water? And then you could just live in the cove. Like, people from the South Sudan would pity people who live in the cove. Like, if you were a member, like, let's say the South Sudan was close enough that they could look with binoculars into the cove, they'd be like, is that baby's crib a rib cage? Just, what the fuck? What are you people doing? Like, everything there is just backward and scary and mortifying. And, like, there's just all, like, God in the city is a nice God. Like, you see signs and it's like, God loves you. Like, God's looking out for you. Every sign in the cove's just like, God's gonna get you. Like, God is just a serial killer. God is Jason from Friday the 13th, according to people in the cove. Like, he's just out to murder people. It is just a frightening overall place to be.
He is in your closet, which is a little bit backwards.
Yeah. I hate everything about it. Like, I saw, and this is so sad, but someone sick's gonna find this funny. I saw a mentally handicapped child on a dog leash.
Oh, God.
Tied to a tree. And they're like, yeah, he'll tucker himself out. And he's just like, duh! And like, he kept like pulling tight and like gagging himself. And I was like, this is okay, I guess.
My God.
And like, to make it slightly more bizarre is it wasn't just a dog leash, it was one that had like studs on it, like diamond studs.
Whoa.
So it was a little bit decorative.
Listen,
His name is Princess.
If we're gonna get our kid a dog leash, we're not going cheap.
Yeah. And it was like a choke collar leash too. Like, the whole thing, just like, I don't know, it was like going and like living with the cannibals in the hills have eyes. Like, every time I go back there, I'm just like, how did I turn out not crazy? Like, I know, like, I'm a shitty person, and like, I occasionally like say things that upset people, or I accidentally hurt people's feelings, and like, sometimes I have backward thoughts, but like, when I go back home, and my dad's just like, the Quran says you gotta fucking pull people's teeth out. I'm like, how do you fucking come up with these ideas? Like, we went to a fancy restaurant and they served like mashed potatoes out of a used paint bucket. Like, that was like, it was like macaroni salad that was in a husked watermelon. Like, these people live...
That's high class.
We wash our dishes in the kerosene tub.
Yeah! Like, I don't know how to...
Someone just needs to drink the Kool-Aid.
Understand how backward and insane where I grew up is.
Yeah.
It's baffling to me.
You know, you're making it sound enticing, and I want to see this place sometime.
They keep begging me to do a comedy show there.
I think you should.
Oh.
And the thing is, I'm so tempted to do it just to show you motherfuckers that none of this is fake.
I'd be all over it. I'd sign me the fuck up, and I think I would try some of the weirdest material I could think of.
I don't know what would get over there.
Try some of that.
Exactly.
Try some of that clean Christian Satan fearing humor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're gonna buy 2 boxes of popsicles. On the way down, we're just gonna eat them all, and we're gonna save every stick, and we're just gonna divide them up. That's your set. You have the trip to memorize it.
Like, my dad's idea of a joke, like his knee slapper yesterday, like we were eating the bucket macaroni, and he goes,
on the
so
menu.
this guy, he wants to. I don't know why I'm doing a New York voice. My dad's like the biggest redneck. So this guy, he's writing a letter to his wife. You know, he's going down to Florida. She's gonna come up and visit him in a couple days, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna write an email to my wife. But guess what? He gets the email address wrong, and he sends it to a lady whose husband died, and she gets an email that says, hey, how's it go? He's like, it's awful nice over here. Kind of hot. See you in a couple days. Your husband. Because she thinks her husband's in hell now. And, like, it's, like, non-jokes like that. And, like, literally, he told this at a table with people who were, like, crying laughing. And I don't know how to tap into
There's
that
an audience for everything.
weird humor. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to replicate
Nobody
that.
should know how to do that, honestly. I don't think that's a skill anybody wants.
Yeah. Oh,
That
and
being said, who would you book on this show?
that's an interesting question because
Brendan Crick.
on one hand,
So
like,
one time I had a foursome, you guys.
I would not
He'd
book
be
Brendan
murdered
Crick on
immediately.
that.
Yeah.
I would probably book Lennon because I feel like your style would work with that. I'd probably try to get I would try to think of the most mainstream setup punchline comics there are.
Right, yeah.
Like I would try to get like you, probably like fucking like Jesse Kime, like
It's probably a good call.
Yeah, I mean he can work a general audience. Like I'm thinking
Yeah.
of people who I do fire halls with. I Mike Minnick. Like
Yeah.
people who can reach like the middle America crowd.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite type of show to do at all, but like I'm not gonna put like Ryan Meehan in front of that audience.
Yeah.
Well, you can't put Ryan
I-
Meehan in any audience.
That's not true. I've seen him slay with audience. You'd be like he slays in front of a black audience.
Yeah.
You would think it would not work, but and he's not out there like pandering, doing like, oh, my wife's black humor. They just find him inherently hilarious. Just look at him. He walks up and goes, oh, so hello, and they go, ah! Look at him! Look at the whitey! And like they just cry, laughing at how goofy
That
he
sounds
looks.
pretty accurate, yeah. I dare you to book Lemaire.
I think Lemaire would get over there. Like
Really?
Lemaire,
They
Lemaire
would lynch
has
him on the way out of town?
He has a kind of subtle charm.
Oh, yeah.
One last thing about going back home, and then I'll leave it be because this is just kind of me doing therapy for myself right now. This is 100%
That's why
true,
we're all
and it bums
heroes.
me out.
That's why you regularly appear on the show.
I'm
You
going
owe
to
us
do this
$500.
for the
Yeah.
podcast, but I don't think I can do it on stage, unfortunately, because real life, unfortunately, is imitating art, where this sounds like something that happened on South Park. Like, it's very, very similar to a South Park story, and if I do this on stage, people are going to
No
be
one
like,
will believe you.
no one will believe me because they'll think it sounds like something that happened on South Park.
Yeah.
But recently,
following
we
story
had
we're about to hear
a
is
member of the Martinsburg Police Force. There's 3 cops. 3 fucking cops in this town. One of which had to step down because it turned out he was functionally illiterate.
Okay.
He had been a cop for 15 years. 15
He
years.
hides that really well.
No! You want to know how they found out he was illiterate? He went to a classroom of children for, like, what do you do day? And a child asked, like, so do you have to have good grades to be a cop? And he said, good grades? I can't even read. And, like, everybody's like, oh, no! Like, that sounds like that shouldn't be. And, like, the town was, like, upset, and they were like, his name is Brian Kettner. Fuck you, Brian Kettner. He's a real person. I'll say it right now. Fuck you, Brian Kettner. And, like, so, like, the mayor was like, Brian, everybody's saying you can't read. And he's like, oh, I was just joking. And she was like, can you read this book? And he's like, later. And he's a gardener now. Like, he was just like, he called my bluff and left. Now we have 2 cops.
Wow.
Like, have I painted a clear enough picture of this fucking town?
You,
You have
sir,
painted a mural.
need to write a sitcom. Just about this town.
Oh my god, it's insane. Like, it's just
It
so
sounds so
backward.
doable.
It's like everything that was bad about the 1950s without anything cool about the 1950s.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Tell me if this is a good joke or if
It's
kind
like the
of...
Beverly Hillbillies before they moved to Beverly Hills.
Yes. Like, in the Cove, a woman's right to choose means you can be quiet or get punched. Is that good? I think that could work somewhere.
Shirt. I want that on a shirt.
There you go.
Like, it's true. Like, it's sad, but like all the women in the Cove are just quiet, fidgety, and have mysterious bruises. Like, they're all just like, do you want some pie? And then they shuffle into the shadows. not to be seen while the men talk. Like, it is just the worst, shadiest, slimiest town. Like, and like everybody has like 10 kids. Like, I went back home and I tried to reconnect with some of my friends, and they're all 27 years old, and they're all married, and they all have like 5 kids, and like they just use prayer as birth control, and so they're all constantly pregnant. It is a nightmare. Ooh. So, fuck you, Martinsburg. Fuck you, Brian Kettner. What do y'all want to talk about? I've been dominating like a crazy person.
I just want to ask, when do we want to do this show on there? Because I'm all for it.
Are you ready for just living a different life?
Yes.
They might abduct you.
Oh, cool.
You'll be able to live in the hills, or rather under the hills.
I hear they have eyes. So.
Like, they're hill people.
Yeah.
They're literal hill people. So every time, like, I think, like, oh, Harrisburg's shitty. Like, I remember, like, oh, yeah, like, people used to use, like, raccoon spines as instruments. Like, that's right. Maybe life could be much worse. Like, oh, yeah. Like, it just bums me out because, like, people don't realize, like, Harrisburg's shitty, but it is a progressive metropolitan, like, future paradise compared to so many places right here in America.
That's true.
So, if I went down there and as part of my set, I did my Bob Dylan impression, would they go, I can't wait for his second record to come out?
Yes. And here's the thing is that, like, if I took you down there, like, I don't think you even have any dirty humor, but I'd have to find people who do clean humor. Like,
yeah,
the only
thing dirty about me is that I swear, and I can cut that out on a dime.
Like, I accidentally said the word dick at dinner, and everybody just got quiet and looked down. Like, it was like...
They just said, all right, emergency prayer, everybody. Emergency prayer.
Do we have the same humor, the three of us?
Yes.
I think we do, because on the way here, what did we say?
We said gay Dave. We said gay
Dave,
and then all instantly went,
Gave. All in unison, same inflection.
It's the funniest part about that was that it hit us at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, Gave.
Good old Gave.
I don't know.
Y'all.
You were saying, we were saying emergency prayer and something clicked in your head.
Oh, yeah. Like, they aggressively make you join their cult if you stay there long enough. Like, when I had dinner, like, we were just, like, sitting around, and I'm just like, nom, 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 eating food, and they're like, time for prayer. And, like, I'm not a religious person, but I try to be respectful, and I just kind of sit there, and I let them do their thing. But, like... two women were sitting beside me, and they both grabbed my hands. They were like, time to shut your eyes. And, like, it was like a forceful thing that they made me be a part of.
You open it and you're like chained to a wall.
Yeah.
That's like the time I went... I used to be a Christian. I'm not anymore. That's like the one time I went to See You at the Pole. You know how they do those things where they take a
stripper.
Yeah. It's where it's a bunch of Christian people. They gather around the flagpole because it's not school property. It's national property.
Yeah.
And they just prayed about whatever. That got creepy real quick.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Christians is, like, they don't realize they're basically like a lamer version of the Kiss Army. Like, all they do is they think they're awesome, and they think that everybody's not them is against them. You know what I mean? Like,
that's too bad, because that's like the opposite of what they should do.
Like,
yeah.
Like,
that's why it sucks.
Oh, who was it? Who's the guy who wrote Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs? Chuck Klosterman has this great theory about, like, why bands like Kiss are really good at marketing themselves. And the underlying fundamental thing is, not only are we awesome, everybody who's not us wants us to not be us. And so Kiss proposes that our identity is we rock and roll, and everybody who doesn't like us hates rock and roll, and they want to stop us from rock and rolling for some reason. It's not only
they want to do it all night and party every day.
And there's this invisible enemy out there just going, I hate rock and roll. Just like some Captain Planet villains out there.
Yeah.
And Christians do the same thing, where they're just like, not only are we awesome for believing that, like, this Jewish carpenter guy was the best ever, there's just these invisible people out there who are like, resurrected carpenters are the worst. Like, and, like, as a non-religious person, I can safely tell you, I don't give a shit what you believe as long as you're a cool dude to me. But, like, that idea of if you're not like me, you're the enemy is so toxic and so poisonous. And like, and don't get me wrong, like I will say that atheism is bought into that mentality too. Like all of the prominent head figures for atheism these days are just assholes. Like to me, like atheism and agnosticism, when people say like, how do you identify myself? I would never even, that wouldn't even be in the top 100 words I use to describe myself, because I forget who said this, but it's a brilliant idea, which is like saying, to say that I'm an atheist is like saying, I'm not a golfer. Why would you describe yourself by the absence of what you don't do? I'm not engaged in anything. Being an atheist doesn't change my life. I'm not actively doing anything. Why would I describe myself by a lack of what I do? Like, I don't say, like, I'm not a writer. I'm not a golfer. I'm not a politician. Why would I ever use that to describe myself? It's just something I don't do.
Huh. Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My
description is usually, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm agnostic because it makes sense to me, and it just makes everything easier. Like, my life is just so easy. Like, oh, it's Sunday morning, like, I can have a beer, like, whatever. Like, I can just live my life.
Yeah. That's why I am not part of that anymore, because the arbitrary ritual and all of the stuff that you have to do this and this and this that makes no sense, I don't want that. I don't care about that. I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Which is why I, like, and Amber, I think you're in the same boat, too. Like, we're not atheist or any other specific religion. We're just not anything.
I mean, that's basically an absence of faith is like agnosticism, where you're like, yeah, it could be. But like, even like saying you're an atheist is like saying you're a feminist, where even if you 100% believe it, I just don't like saying it out loud because there's always going to be some fucking asshole ruining my time being pissy about it. Like, 100%. I'm 100% a feminist. Like, I strive every day to treat women equally and try to do things in my life that improve the lives of those who don't have it as good as me. And women 100% don't have it as good as me. Like, being a woman compared to being a man fucking sucks in almost every imaginable way. And I just be like a human being and be like, that's true, and just look at my life. Like, I can just walk down the street. I can just walk down the street in my underwear, and people will just be like, that's gross, and live their lives. But, like, if a woman just, like, goes jogging with a halter top, like, she's gonna be like, maybe I'll be raped. Like, women just have shitty lives. And, like, just being like, oh, yeah, I'm a feminist. Like, all of a sudden, now I can't just enjoy myself at the bar. Now I have, like, rules being like, well, actually. And just fucking ruining my day. So, like, even though I subscribe to every principle of, like, basic feminism and every principle of basic atheism. You can't say that anymore
because people take it way too
No,
far.
you've got to use these workaround words. Where it's like, I'm not really religious. It's not really my thing. Or, I just want to make sure everybody's equal. And I can't actually say what I am just because I don't want to have some in real life comment thread bullshit conversation with some jackass whose opinion I don't want to change, I don't care about. Like, if you take, and I'm just going to keep using him because fuck him, he's not here, let's trash him. Rules. Like, why would I want to engage in a conversation about, like, women's rights with rules? He's not an important person. Like, if he died today, he would be forgotten tomorrow. Like, they're not even going to write anything on his tombstone.
Well, it would take, like, 2 days to bury him.
Like, his mom might cry for, like, a day, but that is it. Like, why would I waste time changing his opinion? Like, who gives a shit? Why am I going to waste my time and energy and resources to go after this guy who has the same social, like, function as, like, fucking Pawn Scum? Like, he's just there. He's like, he's drinking beer and taking up resources and breathing.
Sometimes
he's drinking beer.
Yeah, oftentimes
but, like,
it just ends on the ground.
I feel confident in the idea that he doesn't even vote. Like, why should I give a shit?
I think that's a good assumption.
Why should I give a shit what he thinks? Like, I think one of the big problems of progressivism is we want everybody to be on board, but let's just stop worrying about the shitheels. Like, let's stop giving a shit about uninfluential people. Like, oh, we need him to understand. Like, I don't need him to understand. He can think, like, blue is a flavor for all I give a shit. Like, he can be wrong.
Blue isn't a flavor?
I'm going to ask him on Facebook right now, is blue a flavor?
And, like, I say all those mean things as someone who enjoys his company, but when someone's like, why don't you want to discuss with him why you think he's incorrect? Why don't you want to get in a dialogue? Because, like, he's inconsequential. He's fucking carbon that walks around with consciousness until it doesn't, and then people forget that happened.
You know, to be fair, blue, there is a specific shade of blue that when you look at it, you think raspberry.
Yeah.
But
Okay, but that's raspberry. That's not blue.
yeah, I know. I just wanted to say that.
I'm gonna ask Erica too. She's on. Let's see
If
what
Erica
does.
responds with 5,
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would die twice.
you've already died like 6 times, right?
Not today.
I don't know where we're going with this.
So one thing. Okay, so to bring a topic into this.
Okay.
One thing that we, for some reason, haven't talked about yet on this podcast is fucking Age of Ultron.
Oh yeah, I guess we didn't.
I assume you've seen it.
Yes.
There's no way you have not seen it.
Oh, I've seen Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't think it was as good as the first Avengers. Like, I don't mean to like.
Okay, I'll agree to that.
Did you see Mad Max by now?
No, I've heard it's incredible.
Yeah, I've heard that also.
I've heard it's like jaw-dropping incredible.
It is the best action movie of at least the last decade.
No shit.
And I mean,
It didn't look like it through the previews. It looked like it was just, okay, that's happening, that guy has a guitar, and okay.
like, if you are unamused by unadulterated spectacle, like, go back to watching, like, fucking indie Jesse Eisenberg films where he's, like, a sad Jewish kid. Like, fuck off. Like, if you want to see 2 hours of the most beautiful woman on earth just shooting people in the throat with a gun, watch Mad Max. Like, you say that, like, you are so fucking jaded. It's like, there's a blind man with razor-sharp teeth swinging from a car that has speakers on it that has a fucking guitar that shoots flames out of it. You're like, oh, is that what it is? Oh, I saw that in the trailer. A fucking man swinging from a giant set of speakers with a flame-throwing guitar on a car going 100 miles an hour. Well, is that what it is? Yes, that's what it is! That's what it is! There's just giant explosions and people just being insane. It is amazing. It's an amazing
It's probably
movie.
amazing because it knows exactly what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, not only, it's way smarter than any shitty Avengers film.
Oh, yeah?
It's way smarter because the whole conceit of the film is that, and it's the basic plot without giving anything away, is like Charlize Theron, like there's this society that's a giant cult, and in this cult, the main leader keeps, like, everybody is starting to get like cancers and stuff because it's a post-apocalyptic world, and the main leader of the society takes all of the healthy women and uses them as breeders, and he uses them to try and make healthy children. But, you know, it's sex slavery, so these women want to get out, and Charlize Theron is someone who drives like an oil rig and tries to get oil for the society, and she sneaks the women out to try and save their lives. And the whole movie is like the cult chasing them. And it's a really smart film about like women's ownership of their own bodies, and like it looks
But
at that.
at the same time, it's just non-stop action.
At the same time, it's like, I own my body, and if you don't agree, I will tear out your spine. And it's the best kind of feminism.
It's feminism in Mortal Kombat world.
Like, I think a great myth of like initial progressivism is that we can achieve peace in the world without violence, and I think that that's incorrect on 2 levels. One, I think that humans are built to just fucking murder. Like, that's every function of our body is built for that. And 2, don't underplay symbolic violence. Like, violence is not just a physical thing. Like, that's an old mindset. Like, modern philosophy makes very clear that, like, great acts of violence happen on Wall Street every day. Like, monetary, social, identity violence that you can portray against people.
I had never thought of it that way. Okay, so Erica says, yes, blue is a flavor. Rolls says blue is a flavor just based off of Gatorade alone.
The thing about Gatorade, though, is that you get a bottle and you never know what it's gonna... Like, there are, like, 3 flavors that you know it's gonna taste like. It's, like...
The yellow one.
Yeah, yellow and, fruit punch.
Yeah.
No, but, like, what is fruit punch labeled... Or the purple one labeled as? Like, the blue one is Cool Blue. What the fuck does Cool Blue taste like? Or Glacier Freeze. That's fucking water.
That's water.
Glacier Freeze is just fucking water. How does it taste so good? That's false advertising.
Do you know this conversation is more haunting than anything in George Orwell's 1984? Just a bunch of people being like, blue's my favorite flavor. Like, we used to just have fruit. We used to just buy bananas and drink orange juice, but now we're literally like, so, here's this flavor just called, like, Arctic Fuck You, and just put it in my meat machine so I can keep working and not thinking about things. Like, this is horrific.
What was that one? I think there was a Mountain Dew flavor that, like, it was pure white, and it had some weird flavor, and it was just Sprite. It was literally just Sprite.
That's hilarious.
No different. That's like 7-Up doesn't have... 7-Up shouldn't exist anymore. It's just Sprite.
Well, yeah. What company makes 7-Up? Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coke?
Yeah. No?
Yeah.
No?
No, I think it's Pepsi.
It doesn't matter. It
Research.
really doesn't matter.
Saying whether you favor Coke or Pepsi is really stupid.
I don't find that much of a difference.
Any reason to argue over that.
I don't think there's enough of a difference.
That's a good point where there's no reason to argue over it.
Yeah.
Because anytime you argue over purely subjective things, you're just basically saying my opinion's better than your opinion. And that's how, like, people kill each other.
Right.
Like, when there's no
Pepsi,
real answer, like, that's the... Like, I used to literally, like, not date people who didn't share my taste in music. Like, just being like, what do you like, country? You fucking twat. And then, like I was a dumb kid. And, like, you just grow up and realize, like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Right.
Who gives any semblance of a shit about what kind of, like, music you like or food you like? Like, nowadays, I'll date someone if they don't physically assault me. Like, it's just like, oh, you haven't hit me yet. Want a kiss? Like, that's where I've gotten to in my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
I tried to pick up a fucking racist chick the other night. Like,
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Because why not?
I can't even tell this story because it involves way too many people.
Just give them different names.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
All right. This is going to be so transparent. It's going to be the most transparent story.
Well, most people listening won't know. So only we'll know.
Yeah, surprisingly enough.
And I'm so dense, I might not know.
A lot of the people who we know don't listen to our show.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with them?
Yeah,
they know us.
The people who listen to our show are people we don't know.
Actually, that's how it should be.
That's how it is.
Yeah, those are the people you want to find you.
We get an average of like 25 listens a week.
That's cool. Actually, that's not bad.
But because seriously, right as an episode comes out, we get like 10.
I noticed that actually with the drunk episode. When it came out, I was heading to work, so I'm like, I'm going to download this and listen to it on the way down
So anyway,
back.
your story.
And, okay.
All right. So I
just wanted to input that there.
I performed at a show the other day, and afterwards I was invited to go have some drinks with some folks. And we're sitting around drinking, and these two young ladies walk in, and they know one of the guys that we're with, and they start chatting, and we're just kind of fucking around. And I don't really want to do anything that night. I was like exhausted. And so like I'm going to leave, and this pretty lovely lady like steps in front of me, and she's like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going home." And she was like, "I'm wearing tight pants and a low-cut shirt. Are you sure you want to leave?" And I was like, those are both great points. And so I stuck around, and like we're hitting it off. Oh God, the story doesn't make sense.
The strain.
There's somebody that's there that's a crazy person who may or may not be a comic, who's very limited in some ways.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, all right.
I think I know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Is there did there used to be a hat involved that
Yes.
may or may not have been in the form of poultry?
Okay.
That's what I thought.
So there's
Nice.
this special fella there, and like he wasn't even in the show. He just kind of showed up.
That's cool.
And so my buddy's talking to the one girl, I'm talking to the other girl, and he's kind of sidecarring it because the evening's like winding down. And the one girl starts pulling out like sex toys, and like she has like this like weird warming thing, and she's like rubbing it on our bodies, and like it's obviously like kind of getting to that point in the night. And I pull our special friend aside, and I literally go, "Hey, you gotta get out of here." I was like, "I'm trying to make something happen here. I don't mean to be rude. Can you kind of just go home? It doesn't look like you're going to be any part of this, so we're going to do this." And he's like, "All right."
That was a spot-on impression.
And so I'm like, "Listen, girls, I'm getting some beers. We're going back to my place. Nightcap time. And like I talked to my friend, I'm like, look, if you want to fuck in my house, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, we can high five later and have breakfast. I don't care. I'm fine with it. And so he's like, cool. And so I'm like, all right, girls, here's my address. GPS it. We'll meet at my house. My friend gets in my car. They walk to leave. And special friend, I think, wanders off into the night.
He lives in a dumpster.
He may or may not be still walking to this day.
No. Haven't even hit the peak of this story yet.
Oh.
We get back home. I had picked up some beer. I'm walking to my house. And I see the girls' car pull up, and they get out. And like all I see is their shadows walking towards me. And then all of a sudden, behind them, I see a bigger shadow. And I was like, what the fuck? He's there. He fucking got in their car. And I was like, we're all going to Wes's.
Willingly, or?
Just didn't ask, just got in the back seat. And was like, we're going to Wes's. And I remember, I just told him, go home. And so he shows up, and I'm like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And like, I'm just giving him angry eyes. And like, we walk upstairs, and we're just having this awkward moment. I can't convey it on a podcast. But like, me and a girl are sitting here, a guy and a girl sitting here, and he's just sitting here, and we're all doing the thing where you're just like... He's like, so what are you guys gonna do? Gonna have a beer? And I'm like, oh fuck! Edit that out, please. I don't want to hurt anybody's
should have
feelings.
just thrown it out the window and said, "Go get it."
Please
lock the door.
Please edit that out. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
That's fine.
And I was like, can you meet me in the kitchen for a second? And I'm like, I grab his shirt. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he goes, I didn't have a way to get home. I was like, there's not an excuse to be here. This isn't your home. This is not your home. I was like so upset. And I'm like, okay, we can fix this. It's like 2 a.m. I'm like, I know I'm running out of time to make things happen. And so I'm like,
synapses are firing now.
I'm like, I'm going to get you home, buddy. And so I walk out and I was like, who wants a pizza? And everybody's like, no, I don't really want it. I'm like, I'm good. No, get a pizza. And I was like, oh, shit. Please edit that out. I'm such an asshole.
Barry.
Special friend.
Barry.
Thank you. Barry.
Okay.
Do you need a ride home?
Oh, that's fine.
And he was like, not really. I was like, I bet you need a ride home. And he's like, oh, I guess I do. And he like dejectedly walks out to me in my car. And the girl who was kind of like hitting on me was like, oh, I'll go with you. And I was like, cool. And on the way, like, dropping off, she starts just being like wildly fucking whatever. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm so bad at lying.
Don't worry, we have.
Can you just make a special sound effect?
Yes,
we
like,
have.
I have.
We'll do the sheep sound.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
it's tradition.
I have a duck that I really enjoy. I knew how that was gonna sound, and I ran with it anyway.
I want to make you a shirt that says that.
We're just gonna move
I
on.
will wear that shirt proudly.
So we finally drop him off. And she's just spouting this weird racist rhetoric because we did pick up pizza. But
that was the point of the story.
It was this place that was out in the middle of like downtown Harrisburg, and like it was just obviously a place that was like a cover for like drug interactions, and it was really shady. And she kept saying the N-word, and I was like, oh god, this is the worst. But like I felt like I was in too deep. I was like, I can't go back and not have sex with this girl because that would be rude. Like, yeah, I've taken up a lot of time here.
It would be like in the middle of a Mission Impossible movie where Tom Cruise goes, I'm out. You know, I can't. I think it's it.
Yeah. But I get back.
He zips back up.
And Duckman has wasted so much time that when I get back, my friend is literally just passed out face down on the floor while the other girl's like, I don't even know what happened. She's just mad. And then racist girl's like, Stacy, we can stay for a while. And I was like, no, we can still say it. And in my mind, I'm like, how do I salvage this? But they were already out the door. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So the whole night was ruined by Duckman. And I was so upset.
Freaking Duckman.
Goddamn Duckman.
Oh, man.
Like, and it's like, I know he ruined it because he's sad and doesn't understand social situations, but I can't emphasize enough how straightforward I was when I was like, you've got to go home.
Right, yeah.
You can't be here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, not being sly at all, just being very straightforward, and that really upset me.
Well, that was something.
If this is an animation,
Can I make
Please
my-
don't make it an animation. Please don't make
I was
this
going to
the
say, how do
precipice
you
of this.
draw Duckman? Is it just a silhouette with a big question mark?
Please don't feature
Well,
that.
I think next, if I have the time to do it, because this is kind of a long story, the one where Erica's talking about her issues with her car.
Oh,
and
okay,
how
yeah.
She said that her car smelled like dead frog.
Ah, yes.
There was a joke in there.
Ode to Dead Frog.
Oh, yeah,
How to smell like you've croaked.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Dead frog, the science frog.
I didn't even think about that on that episode. That was something I came up with later and went, gold! Yeah.
I have this duck I really enjoy.
Fine.
I think that's our title.
Okay.
I think we're going with that.
There was something else in the very, very beginning that I
Don't worry.
thought was a good title. I
I'll
don't remember what
figure
it
it
was.
out.
Yeah.
When
I thought it would work also,
later.
but- If I want to go back about 20 minutes,
That's what's gonna happen.
back to Marvel stuff.
Oh, shit!
That's where we
I
were
completely-
20 minutes ago.
What?
I completely forgot that's what you want to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
We got on Mad Max and Feminism.
Well, the only thing I
we
can
were off.
the only thing I want to mention about the Avengers itself is that James Spader is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, he's
In
a
everything.
great voice actor.
In everything, he is amazing. Casey, you are still not sold on Ant-Man.
I'm not so worried.
You're not sold on Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Why would I be?
I'm not feeling it.
Okay.
First of all, it's not Ant-Man as Ant-Man.
Well, it's
It's some
the
other guy.
second Ant-Man as
Yeah,
Ant-Man.
no, it's bullshit.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of against that too because one of the things about Hank Pym is that he's
Yeah.
one of the most genius people in the Marvel
Let me
universe.
say real quick.
So the fact that it's not him is kind of detrimental to that character a
Marvel
little
is
bit, right?
close with their film series to batting 1,000.
Right.
They have one. If they have one slip up, it's over.
No,
doubt that. No. No.
This train
Yes.
is going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
It's a multi-billion-dollar operation. Like Ant-Man could make literally $0 and it would be fine.
Yeah.
It would make no difference. Like the way that they have this structured out and as successful as they've been in the past, like. You know, I mean, it's like a baseball hitter. Like, if you hit 9 home runs in a row and then you strike out for your 10th, no one remembers the 10th one.
No.
They remember those 9 fucking home runs in a row?
Yeah. I thought.
They're planned out through 2019.
Yes, they
They're
are.
crazy.
And so many people thought Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be the bomb.
It was excellent.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
kind of expecting the same thing out of Ant-Man now, and I'm thinking I might be a little disappointed. But I don't think I'm going to walk out of there saying that was a shitty movie.
James Gunn, I knew that was going to be good because James Gunn is an amazing director, and he did Super, and he did Slither,
Yeah.
and he's done a
And other
bunch of...
one-letter titles, one-word
One
titles.
letter titles. You know, A and X.
J. Meh.
No one remembers a J. It's okay.
But James Gunn is an amazing, amazing director. He could do anything and be great, so I knew that was going to be good.
Yeah.
Like Paul Rudd's good, but I don't know if he can carry a movie on just being charming. You know, like you made a good point about Hank Pym. Like, I think if Marvel wanted to be more cohesive in their universe and make Ant-Man matter,
Right.
and make conversely
would
the
have
Age
to
of
be Pym.
Ultron matter more.
Oh,
follow
yeah.
the comics and have Hank Pym create Ultron.
I think that was
which
going
is-
to be the plan, but I
Yeah,
think
he-
they had to change it because if you remember, Ant-Man had such a hard time finding a director and getting out. They had to push it back. If they hadn't had to push it back, I think we would have seen Pym in Avengers and have him create.
Yeah, because we
Ultron.
were talking about that before. I think it was. It was before.
It was like when the Ant-Man
Guardians-
trailer came out.
Yeah, it was around when Guardians
Yeah.
of the Galaxy had come out, and you
Yeah.
were talking about that. That might have been what would have happened.
I'm sure that's what would have happened if Ant-Man had been on schedule as they had intended. I think you would have seen Ant-Man in the Avengers.
I think they should have at least delayed everything. Like, it's so
Okay.
vital. Because to me, the story of Ultron, like in every good arc of Ultron they've ever had, is like this really beautiful, classic, like Isaac Asimov, like sci-fi story
Yeah.
where it's like, if a robot learns to love and gets a broken heart and hates its father, like, what does Oedipus look like in a story with cyborgs?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he is created by a man who he both simultaneously loves and hates, and every action he has stems from that. And then you have his father being Hank Pym, who is this incredibly flawed, brilliant man who, like, also beats his wife.
Yeah.
Like, you have an amazing amount of potential of, like... And you see this in a lot of great films, like, even in that film Her, Like, what happens when something that does not have humanity learns to have human emotions, and how are those expressed? Like, those are beautiful, important things to talk about because we're so close to, like, the singularity, so close to creating these super advanced artificial intelligences. All of a sudden we go from a movie about a guy who's just kind of like, well, fuck it, I'll make the world into robots, into a story that's like, I hate my father, and what does it mean that I'm not actually my father's son and that I'm a machine? Like, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's a very stuff. That's a crazy arc to run.
Yeah.
And
it's challenging because all of a sudden Ultron's not just a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a really confused child. He's been alive for one day, and he has all of the knowledge in the world, but no understanding of how to emotionally deal with it.
Yeah.
You know,
there was that nice dichotomy in the movie also, even though it wasn't exactly the same. Sort of like that, except it was more where he was so against Stark, but at the same time he did a lot of things similar to him, and that was really cool whenever I would pick up on something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there were shades of it, but I think they just missed.
It was really dumbed down.
The emotional weight of what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, everything that happened was for the sake of progressing. Okay, we're here, now we're getting to here. And, like, I think the key with all truly transcendent great villains is that a great villain has a point that you can agree with somewhere.
Yeah.
Like Darth Vader, right? Like, ubiquitously renowned evil dictator, but at the end of the day, like, he's part of a force that's trying to unify the galaxy and bring order to the world. Like, you can follow Luke Skywalker into a bar where someone just gets shot in the stomach and dies and nothing happens. You know why? Because they don't got fucking police there. Like, they're trying to bring peace to the galaxy in a bad way, but at the end of the day, like, when you look at, like, what the Federation is doing, they're like, we are living in a world of laser beams and giant robots and monsters who are not being reined in. Like, someone should have some fucking legislative control over this.
Right.
They're doing it the wrong way. But I can see why he thinks he's right. It makes me sad in some way to see him think that he's failed to bring peace to the universe. That's a good villain. Ultron just being like, what if you were all robots now? That's... I have no emotional investment in, like... if a good villain dies, a little part of me should be a little bit sad. Because they have... The best villain is someone who took an ideal too far. Because the best part about being a human is there's no emotional or intellectual lines that say, here's where good is, here's where bad is. There's so many shades of gray. A good villain is just on the outskirts of the dark of that gray. You know?
Yeah.
Like, Tony Stark is the real great villain of the Avengers.
Right.
He's the guy who did what the Ultron arc should have been, which is, this world needs to be protected, and we are just people. We need to find a consistent, solid way to make sure that the citizens of Earth are able to live their lives without fear. And my way of doing that is creating Ultron. The real villain is Tony Stark for creating this super soldierized, like, artificial intelligence society to protect people because he wants to do good. Good villains want to do good.
Yeah.
Like, that's the beauty of Tony Stark. He's the real villain.
Yeah. That's... Wow. Wrap up that thesis paper and ship it. That's pretty cool.
My personal favorite villain that goes along that line, neither of you have heard of it, but it's from Super Paper Mario.
Okay.
It's the villain named Count Bleck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Count Bleck.
Count Bleck. Yeah, I pick that too every time. He was kicked out of his group of people because he liked a human girl.
Okay.
And so they're, like, running off with each other, and something happens that's not quite clear, and they get real separated, like, they force themselves to be separated, and he's like, well, now my angsty soul just can't handle this. I need to get revenge on everybody because they took away what I like the best.
Okay.
So he goes off, finds the MacGuffin of MacGuffins, which is... Here's the thing.
What in the fuck did you just say?
MacGuffin?
Yeah.
MacGuffin is just an object that pushes along the plot. Something that somebody wants. That's just what it's called.
Okay.
He's like, oh, there's a fucking book that destroys everything. So I'm gonna get that book and I'm gonna destroy everything and we're gonna start over.
Okay.
So his backstory is sort of hidden throughout the game.
Yeah.
But for a Nintendo game, it's dark as shit.
Good for them.
So
They don't usually take that route anywhere ever.
They absolutely did in this one. It was such a good plot.
Well, here, Wes, I want your opinion on this. I listened to a podcast the other day where the one guy was like against the Joker being such an incredible villain, just because he's just an evil clown, and that's really all he has going for him. But he's held on this really high pedestal for some reason.
No, I think here's the beauty of the Joker, and I think when he's done well, what the character represents is the allure of nihilism. Because we as human beings are weighed down by the fact that we are self-aware, and that when we have expectations, we are expected to be taxpayers, we are expected to be good sons or daughters or husbands and wives, and we owe people our time and attention, and we owe the world the ability to keep it upright. We are citizens, we are residents, we are part of families, and the Joker offers us the beautiful reality of what if you just stopped caring about that? What if you let go the weight of being a human as it's currently defined in civilization? Because the reason humans are successful is we all we all organically feel part of a social contract. You don't hurt people who help you, be a part of the community, grow crops, be productive. And the thing is, like, when you look at like causes of depression, anxiety, it's being weighed down by not feeling like you live up to those expectations. And what the Joker does as a beautiful character is he says, what if you didn't care? What if none of that mattered? You're concerned about money? What if you didn't care about money? What if you didn't care about where you lived? What if you didn't care about people loving you? What if all you had to do was find that next adrenaline rush, that next thing that just made you laugh? What if not only there's no God, there's no government, there's nothing to rule you in. You are a vagabond wild animal, and you never know where your next meal is coming from. No one gives a shit about you, and you don't give a shit about them. He's offering people, especially for Americans, one of the most valued things in Western culture, which is freedom. The Joker offers people freedom from the responsibility of caring. When he's laughing because he has given up feeling responsible for other people. And I think that's extremely alluring because true autonomy comes without ties. He's offering us a vision of a world where we no longer feel bogged down by responsibility. And that's the beauty of the Joker.
Wow. Balls in your court, Bernie Burns. Fuck you.
Oh, is that he was the one who said that?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
People on Twitter got real mad at him when he said it. And then he says like, oh, I'm sorry that I called your evil clown a fucking evil clown.
See, those guys, the people who are responding to that, are probably like, but it's a Joker.
Odds are, yeah, that was
but
their kind of
That was
response.
the college dissertation defending.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I hate to do this because we're on such a nice whatever this is, but
right.
We need to wrap up now.
Do we?
We do.
Okay, good, because I've said everything I want to say. Anyway.
All right. I didn't say my topics, but that's fine. I don't even care.
Oh, what do you got? Just give us the cliff notes, like give us like 3 words of each topic, and if we have something to rebut with, we'll get 2 words.
I'll save it for next week.
You get a 2-word rebuttal. It's like an improv challenge.
We got next week, and then we got Greg's Bits.
I'm excited for Greatest Bits. That's going to be one that you definitely want to listen to.
Yep, it's a good one. So, for Wes and Amber and myself and Lennon,
Thank
I
you.
forgot your name.
Thank you.
I was going to say Amber again.
I count twice because I said like nothing.
Just for that, I'm going to tell you that somewhere in the middle of this recording, I crashed for a few seconds, and I'm not going to tell you where.
Oh, good. No, it's okay, since your mic always goes...
Yeah, I don't know why it does that. That pisses me off a lot. It only ever does it
once.
On the podcast.
It does it once on the podcast.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I don't like that.
But anyway.
Maybe that's it almost crashing, but it corrects itself somehow.
Maybe.
I don't know, because I've done so many recordings with this thing.
Doing this as part of the recording.
Well, yeah.
Well,
this is like troubleshooting.
A little bit, yeah.
The end.
If anybody else has this problem, I'm gonna be the internet message board now.
All right, internet. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Wes Williams out.
Good night, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.